Well, hi, and welcome to the Check It Out show live. And here we are at Bett 2022. And as you'd expect, here I am with my mucker, my partner in crime, Mr. Anderson.
It's been a fantastic event, hasn't it? And so many fantastic, brilliant companies coming along and been along to share about their products, what they've been doing at Bett, the latest updates to their products and services, all of that. So across the show, expect lots of news, views, and hopefully some top tips and new tools that you can take away and have a little think about in your setting to help you in your school.
And the extra thing that I always like to share is, I think in the spirit of the Check It Out show, what we've seen the last 3 days has been the strength of the community, the EdTech community in the UK and beyond. And we've had some amazing products we've seen. And I hope the interviews that you're going to watch now, you'll get a flavour of some of the amazing stuff that's happening in our sector. So grab your popcorn, sit back and enjoy.
So hi, welcome to another conversation on the Check It Out show live from Bett 2022. I'm delighted to welcome Paul from You Teach Me, but as with all of our guests, I don't want to steal their thunder. So Paul, could you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into this crazy world of EdTech with You Teach Me?
Sure. First of all, thank you for the invitation to come and talk to you. So I'm Paul Rose. I, in a former life, used to be a head teacher of an infant school and worked very hard to turn around what was a failing school and wrestled with all of the standard problems that school leaders face around how do you improve teaching and learning and do it rapidly, how do you meet the needs of learners with special educational needs and disabilities, how do you support staff to become highly trained and feel very supported, how do you reduce workload, how do you engage parents, all of those kinds of challenges I was facing as a head teacher. And I started to think about pre-recorded video, YouTube. So if YouTube was entirely populated with teaching resources made by teachers, what a powerful professional development tool that would be. And I started thinking about it and then talked to my wife incessantly. She's a teacher as well. And eventually she said, look, either quit your job and get on and make this thing you keep talking about, or be quiet, shut up talking about it because I'm bored. And so I did. I quit my job and I set out on building You Teach Me.
Great stuff. Well, listen, thank you very much for sharing that. To be fair, there are other platforms that contain video content for CPD and all these sort of things. So with that in mind, Paul, what sort of makes You Teach Me sort of stand out from that crowd within the marketplace? What's your sort of USP, would you say?
We work with schools from early years right the way through to FE, so early years primary, secondary and FE colleges. But we also work with special schools, we work with deaf schools, we work with hospital schools, and we're basically supporting them to teach the students that they teach the stuff that their students need to be taught. So with special schools, that can be food preparation skills, that can be independent life skills, that can be English and maths and managing money, whatever it is. And then we also have a CPD element within You Teach Me, which is about how we train and support staff who are already working in schools, but also solving those problems of new staff to a school. How do you help them get up to speed? How do you do refresher training? How do you help parents understand what staff are doing? So You Teach Me is basically a connected teaching, learning and professional development community that is bringing everybody together, rather than saying, here's a bank of resources, see if you can learn something from that.
That sounds really, really good. And I love that sort of community aspect there, Paul. Sounds really, really interesting. How can people get in touch and find out more? And is there a sort of trial people can sort of tap into, have a look at it? How does all that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is youteachme.co.uk. We're also on the socials, so that we've got @YouTeachMe on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn, just under Paul Rose. And if you go to the landing page of You Teach Me, you can book a demo from there. We can organise trials, etc., etc. So, you know, we're working to solve the challenges that I face as a head teacher, that I know all the head teachers are still working in schools are wrestling with as well. So it will be great to talk to people if they're interested in interesting solutions to the challenges that they face.
Brilliant stuff. Listen, thank you for joining me today, Paul, for a conversation.
Absolute pleasure.
And thank you for joining me for this special edition of the Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022. Thank you. So hi, welcome to another little conversation here on the Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022, and I'm really delighted to welcome a long-standing friend and colleague, Abdul Chauhan, to the conversation today. You're now the VP of Showbie. You've been involved in education in lots of different ways, shapes and forms. So teacher at heart. Can you share a bit about your journey, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So my kind of journey started back in 2009-10 at the ESET Academy in Bolton. We started with iPod Touches before iPads and things like that came out. We started this program of equitable access for all our students and so on. We learned how not to do things. We also learned how to do things. And of course, that journey then progressed. Eventually, I was principal of the school, then CEO of the trust for a short while as well, went on to open my own school. And then I've been working with schools and organizations all throughout the world, really thinking about how does technology make a difference to teaching and learning, you know, talking about digital strategy and so on. And now, certainly over the last 2 years, as Vice President of Learning at Showbie, really kind of that same conversation around pedagogy, technology, learning, and, you know, the kind of juxtaposition of all three, if you want, you know, and really making a difference for students.
Brilliant, thank you so much for sharing, Abdul. Now, like Showbie, fantastic product, something I use myself in my classroom when I was doing my iPad one-to-ones and things myself, and so, you know, I'm a big fan. But for those who don't know, what is Showbie all about?
So Showbie is actually a very simple platform for feedback. It was initially made to kind of transfer information from student to teacher and kind of have these dialogic learning conversations, places where, you know, students can submit their work and teachers can give feedback and so on. And over time, it's kind of developed as technology does. It's now got things like digital voice feedback, voice notes, it's got screen recording built in there, it's got video conferencing abilities built in there. And in 2018, Showbie then bought out Socrative, which is kind of a well-known assessment platform. Now that's integrated into Showbie as well. So it's now really a very focused tool for assessment and feedback.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I mean, and the fact that it actually combines Socrative as well. I mean, my first book came out in 2013, and I mentioned Socrative then, so it's been around for a long time. It's a fantastic tool for low-stakes quizzing and all manner of things in between. Look, there are other platforms who do similar things,
absolutely.
Right? And so, you know, why? You know, I could ask you why would somebody choose to go with Showbie, but more than that, what do you think sets Showbie apart from the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're right. And since the pandemic, you know, there's a lot of kind of Teams usage and Google Classroom and so on. And these are all great platforms and kind of heading in the right direction and so on. I think what's different about Showbie is a few things. Number one, it's only focusing on one thing, like assessment and feedback. Like, well, Socrative is focusing on assessment. Showbie is focusing on feedback, and it's just focusing on doing that really well. The other element is that it's really simple to use. You can use it on any platform. And, you know, we know about simplicity, right? It's the foundation through which technology gets used. We've also seen a lot of technology that has been complicated. And I always call that gym membership, you know, because we pay a lot of money and then it doesn't get used. And you know, education has seen its fair share of that. So for me, Showbie is very much about simplicity, reliability, and really a focused approach to assessment and feedback.
And that's, from my experience, absolutely true as well. It was that workflow solution, you know? You got a child doing something in Word, or you got a child doing something in Pages, or a child doing something else as well. It's that ability to bring things all together into one place in space, so you can give that timely feedback. You know, we always talk about Hattie and, you know, feedback should be just in time, just for me, just for what, you know, I need to move forward in my learning journey, all those sort of things. And Showbie really helps you to do that. You know, it's one of those long-standing issues with EdTech, I think, you know, where you want to innovate and put more stuff in, but the more you put in, the more complicated it becomes. You know, and there are a few products in the EdTech world that I think that could do with being a bit more Ron Seal, you know, but Showbie is definitely one of those sort of Ron Seal products. You know, so if you're looking for one which does the sort of assessment piece plus the feedback piece, without trying to do anything more than that, really, then have a check it out at Showbie. Now, we are the Check It Out show, so if people do want to check it out, how do people get involved with Showbie?
So look, you can go to showbie.com and certainly kind of get a demo account and have a look at it. You can get in touch with me, Abdul at showbie.com, or on Twitter at Abdul Chauhan, and ask me how to kind of get a trial. And not just a trial for you as a teacher, but for your organization. So a 4-week impact study to kind of measure, is it going to make a difference for you? Where are your operational efficiencies? Where are the time savings? Where are the cost savings? Is it making a difference in learning? And to be honest with you, now it doesn't really matter whether you're an iPad school, Chromebook, Microsoft, Surface School, or whatever it is. Actually, it's working on all the different platforms. We've got a variety of schools using that. But certainly get in touch, have a look, and try it out.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you for taking the time to join me for the conversation today, Abdul. Really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us on the Check It Out show too. Thank you. So, hi, welcome to another conversation on the Check It Out show, live from Bett 2022. And I'm really delighted to welcome someone who I've known for a long time, someone I knew when he was actually working in leadership within schools, but now doing something a little bit different, but still firmly, squarely in education, Mr. Andy Caffrey from Canopy. Hi, Andy, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Mark. Great to be here this afternoon. Right on the show floor, Bett, aren't we?
Yeah, we really are
very
here.
busy Bett Friday.
So thank you so much for joining us. Now you're working at Canopy now. Can you share with me what Canopy actually is, please? Is it just an awning or?
Yeah, so Canopy is a Google professional development partner. So we are focused on supporting schools, teachers and students who use Google Workspace for education. We're effectively a team of teachers and former teachers who are trainers and innovators. We go and support a range of schools across the UK and around the rest of the world.
Fantastic. And so I've had the chance to have a little play with a platform and the way that it works, the interactives and so forth and so on. It's really, really quite a slick solution. How are you finding it? What's the sort of feedback from teachers?
Yeah, so at Canopy we built a product called Workspace Skills. And Workspace Skills is a series of interactive tutorials that were digital badges, and they help students and teachers learn how to use Google Workspace for education. And really in lockdown, we found we couldn't meet the demand, and it didn't make sense for the only way of training to be me going around visiting people or online or webinars. So we developed a more interactive solution, deploys through Google Classroom and allows micro-learning and micro-credentialing to really drive forward teacher and student skills on the platform.
That's really, really interesting. Thank you, Andy. Now, it's fair to say there are other people who can offer training services.
Yeah.
I mean, part of my work seems to be training. That's how we got to each other. I did some training at your school way back when. So what would you say is the sort of the USP? What differentiates Canopy from others?
I think we've got a real focus on teaching and learning. So Canopy's a community interest company, so we're not for profit. And our focus is on making an impact to the delivery of teaching and learning. So we're more focused on the education side of this than technology. We think that happens when you support adoption properly, when you train people to use tools properly, and when you focus on making a difference in the classroom. Because what we want to see is technology improving the learning experience for young people. And really that's where our focus sits. As we're all educators, our focus sits in that space. And I think that's what starts to make us different than some of the other partners in the space.
But I would agree with that as well. One of the things which has kept my sort of conversation to go with Andy over the years has been, and don't get me wrong, we are proper into our technology, but it's been teaching and learning that we've spoken more about over the years than anything else. And so that, again, really shines through what you've shared there as well, because as we all know, education is definitely a force for good. And it's great to see that Canopy is making that little dent in the universe.
Yeah, it's been great to grow over the last sort of 24 months and really exciting times ahead, hopefully.
So listen, if you want to get involved, want to engage in the opportunities that you can get for Canopy, how can they get involved? You
can help our website, which is at canopy.education. And obviously we're on all the social medias, mostly Canopy CIC on Twitter and Instagram.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, thank you for taking some time out to have a little chat with me today, Andy. It's been great to see you again, have a little catch up. And thank you too for joining us for this conversation on the Check It Out show, live from Bett 2022. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So hi and welcome to another recording here live from Bett 22 for Check It Out Show live. Really excited to have Pickatale joining us to talk a little bit about their products, but I don't want to steal their thunder as I've been sharing a few times. So can you share with us, what is Pickatale?
Certainly, so I'll just introduce myself first. My name's Ramsey, I'm a Key Stage 2 teacher. I've been working in EdTech for 12 years now, and my current role with Pickatale is as educational lead. So Pickatale is a free digital library with premium content for predominantly primary school aged children. It's curated across a number of categories and is interactive style books, and our aim is to get the kids reading for pleasure.
Fantastic. And I mean, as a parent myself, that is such a hard thing to do, getting them really engaged in their reading. And we know the links to, success for all subjects is so important when it comes to reading. A regularly sort of shared phrase among teachers, as you all know, is, we are all teachers of English, aren't we? Whether our specialism is science or any other subject, it's such an important part of the learning journey. One thing we always ask about the products that come onto the Check It Out show is, what differentiates you from other solutions, because there are other solutions where you can get access to premium books and so forth. So what's different about Pickatale?
We like to empower the children to go off and find their own interests, devour books on their own terms, access it through a device. We realise that we're combating a TikTok generation, so we have interactivity with our books, and it's fantastic for supporting children perhaps accessing content that's at a reading age above their expected reading age. But by using narration features and various other ones, they really gain an insight into topics and subject areas, like you're saying, cross-curricularly, that they might not have done through a more regimented reading scheme. Over to you, Al.
I'm going to dive in as an expert on reading, not. But what I will say is, and we get involved in a whole raft of different applications and solutions. If you want a solution that encourages the love of reading and to get involved in reading, Pickatale's the best solution out there. By a country mile. It's something that not only is it encouraging that reading, but also the breadth of content, the different specialist content you've got some really cool titles in there. Accessibility, I think it ticks so many different boxes, and it's free to get involved, to actually have a look at that content, and I think that in itself is a key, but it's a cracking app.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we're really excited at the moment. We're introducing a huge amount of new content. We're licensing content from extremely well-known publishers, including things like Disney, Sweet Cherry, Marvel, Star Wars, etc. That will come at a premium cost, but a very reasonable cost per year per pupil. And again, it's just getting kids excited to read, and that's the real challenge that we've got now.
No, absolutely. And not that myself and Al are actual fanboys, although we are a little bit, but I had the pleasure of having a good old deep dive into Pickatale myself recently, and with my teacher hat on, which I'm sure you'll agree with, Ramsey, is fantastic. The information that you get from the platform about the children's reading, their progress, how frequent they're reading, all those sort of things. Often a barrier with technology adoption is that it can be too difficult for teachers to actually learn how to use to make it work within their setting. But in a Haynes manual world, it is a one spanner rating. It's the equivalent to sort of changing a washer fluid in your car. It's really, really easy to use, get set up, and all of that. So clearly you can tell myself and Al are fans. If you want to get involved with Pickatale, where can they go and find out more?
Absolutely. And so you mentioned that teacher hat. So any teacher can sign up to the teacher dashboard. They add their students, they register at pickatale.com, and they create their accounts, and then as soon as their students are reading, they then get at-a-glance reporting. And we've set an expectation that we hope that children will achieve a 10-minute reading time a day. That's an hour a week. And as you say, Mark, it's about then impacting all the other areas that they're going to be studying within school. So just go to pickatale.com and then sign up.
And we always like to wrap up on some of these with a check it out recommendation. This is more of an instruction. If you're interested in discovering and promoting the love of reading, and of course you will be if you're watching this show, definitely check it out. It's a 5-star rating rather than a 1 spanner, but we have the same mentality. Best solution out there, give it a go.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thanks for inviting me.
So, hi, welcome to another conversation here for Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022. I'm really excited to have Phil from Discovery Education joining me for another conversation. So, hi Phil, how are you doing? How's your Bett been so far?
Nice to see you, Mark. Yeah, it's been great. It's great to see lots of people around, bigger than I think we all thought, and quite refreshing as well, quite human, so that's great.
It's been great reconnecting. It's been so much
has.
community and great
fantastic.
conversations.
I think we've all needed it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So listen, Discovery Education is quite a large organisation. You will be talking about absolutely what are you going to share about on Check It Out Show for our audience?
We're launching an augmented reality app. So we're launching Sandbox AR. Which is a maker environment in augmented reality. We're very excited about it. It's been out for a while. We've been working with London Grid for Learning on a pilot project with it. So we're here showcasing that amongst all our other products as well. But we've got a real focus on immersive content and technology.
Fantastic, and I'm a huge fan of AR myself. I've developed periodic tables of AR. And
yes, you have.
I love using AR in the classroom myself, and it's such an engaging, immersive thing to do. Can you tell us a little bit more about Sandbox AR? Is it something which needs some sort of like a trigger in order for it to work, or what can you do with it exactly?
It's a really good point, because we've been working in AR for a long time, and we know that we've always been very tracker based. It's always been about that. Also, it's also been about serving up content. You know, it's like you can look at this and you can see it. Really cool, great. But what if you had some agency?
Yeah,
so
it's so what thing, isn't it?
It is the so what, and we know that the AR does the wow, but it's what happens next. So that's really important, is how we give that agency to teachers, to students, to pupils, and how that they can build their own environment, so they can create something from the models that we give them. But not only that, I think one of our USPs, our unique points about this app, is that you can then scale that up into life size, and you can walk around it and you can investigate it. So, you know, you can explore, you can create, but then you can inhabit a world that you've made. And that has quite a dramatic impact on their learning, because when you start moving, when you start ducking around things that you see through the magic window of the iPad, you think, I'm really there. And that just enhances and amplifies the effect of the learning content that they've made, not that they've just been served up with.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you for that. That was really interesting. And just sort of diving a bit further into that then, in terms of the experience and how people sort of get on board with that. And you mentioned the iPad. So is it people to sort of get a hold of the app and have a little play around? What's the best way to have a go at doing that?
Well, first of all, the app is free. The app is free to download, free to use. There are no restrictions on it, and will remain so. Yeah, go on to the Apple App Store. It's iPad only. You'll need a 17 plus iPad, and search for Sandbox AR and have a play.
Brilliant stuff. And so another thing to ask you as well, obviously you find it on the App Store, but I'm guessing there's some resources around using the app as well from Discovery. So if I wanted to sort of learn more, is there a URL or a sort of social media handle that somebody could follow to try and find out more about it?
There are actually some sandboxes, which are the dioramas you get that we've pre-prepared, and you can link into some free learning materials from there as well. So if you're a teacher, you can understand how to use that in your flow of planning, but also discoveryeducation.co.uk/augmented reality will get you the information you need.
Brilliant stuff, thank you. Well, listen, thank you very much for taking the time to come and chat with me on the Check It Out Show live from Bett, and thank you for joining us for this further conversation with Phil from Discovery about Sandbox AR. I cannot wait to get it loaded on my iPad and have a play around with it. Thank you so much, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. So, hi and welcome again to another conversation on the Check It Out Show live. And I'm really, really pleased to have the opportunity to chat to Murray, the founder and CEO of Tassomai, joining me on the show right now. Rather than me steal your thunder, Murray, could you share a little bit about who you are and how you came to create Tassomai and what it actually is?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as you said, I'm Murray. I'm the founder of Tassomai. And I started out really in teaching and learning. I was a teacher myself, trying to build a platform that would better support my own students. I think the thing that was kind of unique about the way we set up was my background, apart from being a science and maths teacher, was in sport and music, and I worked with a lot of elite athletes and musicians. And what I tried to build into the platform was a way of applying that method of practice that elite performers use in their work, and saying, well, why can't we do that with learning and revision and consolidation of knowledge? Or why can't we use that to support learning in the classroom? So that was really how Tassomai originally came about. And it's a product that started out in science, and it's now used in hundreds of schools across the country in a range of subjects.
So there's content on Tassomai for science and other core subjects as well. What's the experience like as a student using Tassomai, first of all, and then flipping that? What's the experience like for a teacher? What's the benefit for a teacher in the students in their classroom using the software?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, when you ask what's the experience like for students, is after a short while, they start to suspect that their teacher is psychic, because by using the program day after day for that little and often regular retrieval practice, not only do they improve their knowledge and their confidence, which was always so important for me with my students, that my students started to feel confident in what they know and a little bit more keyed into what they don't know, where they need more work. Not only does that start to happen, but of course we give teachers a wealth of information about where their classes, where their individual students are doing well, improving, where they're struggling and need more help. So it really empowers teachers to become a lot more keyed into where the needs are and focus their time where that need is. So it's really a great labour-saving tool, a workload tool, and helps to make teaching and learning more efficient.
Well, that's absolutely brilliant, and that's where technology can really help the teacher. And sometimes it's important for them to be the sage on the stage, but the real power of a teacher can actually be that guide on the side and reinforce those misconceptions and those sort of things. So that Tassomai really helps with that.
Well, and that was my experience of teaching. Was often when I was doing that full time, I was working more with students who maybe didn't have access to normal classroom, working with a lot of students with special needs or had to be homeschooled, and that sort of supportive mentoring approach was so important to me as a teacher, whether it was in a larger classroom context or for those students who really needed it. I think, in fact, everyone needs that. They need that little bit of a nudge and support and personal care. But how do you do that at scale if you're a teacher and you've got 100 students at Key Stage 4? Well, you need really informative data that tells you exactly where the gaps are and who needs support and where.
That's really great to hear, Murray. Now, without mentioning any names, there are other competing platforms within the marketplace. So what would you say sort of separates out Tassomai from others within the marketplace?
Well, I would say, really quality, and not just in the quality of our content and our resources, but although I think that's true also, I think what really differentiates Tassomai is the quality of the data we can provide. So we talk a lot about data density. On our platform, because there are so many students using it every day, and because the courses we build to teach, whether it's language, literature, modern foreign languages, maths, science, all those courses have a huge range of content, we're able to get a really clear picture of where the gaps are. So that's a key thing, is the data we can give teachers, and the data we can give the students themselves and their parents is much more detailed, and then you can draw much more appropriate inference from that data. So that's a big part of it, is the quality. I think another side of it, which is quite different from other things out there, is that we do the organising and planning for the learners. So Tassomai is actually Greek for I organise myself. It's what I identified with my students was they might have all the best will in the world, they want to revise, they want to get better, but they can't really do that diagnosis and planning. And then do they all really confront their gaps and focus on what needs work? Well, Tassomai is doing that constant re-evaluation and diagnosis, and then it steers them to say, right, today you have to do this topic where you're struggling, and then you can do this topic which is more of a confidence booster. Whereas I think on other platforms, so often students are given all the material and they're allowed to self-select and go into the areas where they feel more confident. It's only human nature, but the result is, unfortunately, they're not tackling their area of most need. That's a really big driving factor in Tassomai's success.
That's absolutely fantastic, Murray. Thank you for sharing all of that with me. Where can people find out more if they wanted to? I'm assuming people can get a free trial and check it out and all those sorts of things.
It's another thing that I think that Tassomai does really well, is we work with schools to do proper guided free trials for a long period of time. We have to make sure that schools are comfortable with the way they can implement it, that they can get the value out of it. So we do, generally half-term, almost 5-week-long free trials, and we give them all the CPD and support in that process to make sure they're on board. So all you need to do really is find our website. If you can spell Tassomai, that's half the battle. Tassomai. And you just come find our website, get in touch, and we'll happily set up a trial at your school. Or if you're just a parent looking to set it up for your child, that's also available on the website.
That's really useful and really helpful. Thank you very much indeed, Murray.
Thanks very much for having me.
You're very, very welcome. And thank you for joining us for another conversation on the Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022. Thank you very much. So hi and welcome to another conversation for Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022. And really, really pleased to have some more guests on the show. But as I've been sharing in every episode, rather than me stealing their thunder, I'm going to let them share everything about themselves to you. So in a Cilla Black kind of a style, what's your name? Where'd you come from, love?
That's so sweet of you. I'm Stuart Abrahams, and we represent the Wisdom Partnership.
And I'm Steve Baines, another one of the partners.
So, Wisdom Partnership, I'm guessing that's nothing to do with teeth. We didn't meet at 2:30, did we?
No.
So what's the Wisdom Partnership all about then?
So we help edtech companies survive in this world and grow. I think what we find mostly, is that there's a lot of education companies started by educators who are brilliant at what they do, but don't really understand the kind of commercial, the corporate world. So we provide a whole range of services. Basically, we let them carry on doing what they're really good at, and we'll do the rest.
Fantastic.
And we all know at the moment, edtech space, booming space, lots of new innovation coming through. What are the kind of key strands that you see are the kind of the vulnerabilities for new startups that don't have that kind of onboard experience?
I think it's the same stuff that's been going around for quite a while. Schools don't have the time for change. COVID has made it worse. Lots of staff off, they can't get cover. So you've got to make sure that whatever you're selling, whatever you're trying to get into schools, you're cutting through that clutter. And that's got to be really good content that explains what their problem is and how to solve it. And then somewhere along the line mentions your product so that they know who to come to as well.
So if I was an edtech vendor, well actually, which I am, and I was thinking about that kind of external capacity and insight I could bring in. Are you talking fiscal, or are you talking sales, marketing, or the whole gamut of those kind of wraparound commercial services?
Pretty much anything that's required. So we help people from little charities with educational toolkits they want to get into schools, had no commercial nous at all, and taking them through the marketing side, the sales side, nurturing their clients, retention, and how to raise funds, right up to international organisations that were trying to break into the UK but didn't know too much about the UK markets and everything in between. So if they need money, we've got people that we can go to help them raise the finances. If they're looking to sell the company at the other end to make a profit out of it, we can go to that level as well. But we can also start with the little stuff where I've got a great idea but I really don't know where to go from here. We can help from that as well. And I think that's probably the bit we enjoy most, getting something off the ground.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. I mean, I'm a teacher myself by trade, and moved into the independent consultancy space. So I now work without net support, but I still do work with schools. I know, looking through our analytics and listening to our audience voice and what have you, whilst we have a lot of edtech vendors who watch our show, we're also watched by a lot of senior leaders, a lot of teachers, middle leaders, so forth and so on. So if I was a middle leader thinking, you know, I've got an idea that would really, really work in the educational technology space, but I haven't really got an idea about how to get started and what to do, those sort of things. Have you got like one little nugget of advice that you could, apart from maybe sort of speak to you guys, obviously, but have you got like one little nugget of advice you could share with our audience that would be of use to them, do you think, to help them sort of get started on that journey?
It's obvious, but do your research. Just because you might have created something that's really good in your school doesn't mean other schools will use it and like it. We hear this so many times. Do your research. It could be really good, but don't bet your future on it yet.
And I like the pun there with the whole betting whilst we're live from Bett 2022. So look, if I am a budding entrepreneur and wanting to I'm hearing about the Wisdom Partnership and thinking, wow, I really need these guys' help. How can I find you, get in touch and learn more about working with you?
The easiest way to find us is on the website, as always, thewisdompartnership.com. It's fairly simple.
simple's always the best way.
We try.
But there's so many people with new ideas looking for that kind of support. It's definitely a perfect opportunity to get in touch with you good folks. And never hurts to ask the questions first of all, does it? So that's always
It
good.
doesn't, but they need to also understand that they'll get a truthful answer, and it's not always what they want to hear.
You know what? And that's refreshing to hear. So good on you. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you so much for joining us for our very mini Check It Out show live at Bett.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. So hi and welcome to another conversation here on Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022. I'm really excited to have Michael Wilkinson from ClickView joining me for a conversation. But as I always share, it's not for me to tell you about their company. So Michael, who are you? What is ClickView? And what are you doing at Bett?
Yeah, look, thanks for having us on. So we're ClickView. We're a world-leading publisher of educational video resources. We work with over 5,000 schools, and we're really, really delighted to be here at Bett showing how schools can save time in terms of their teachers, securing their planning with great quality video-based resources that you can then turn into an active learning experience to engage students and to really support positive outcomes in the classroom and beyond.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Listen, I know ClickView well, and we've worked together as well. But for those viewers who are thinking, well, why do I need ClickView when I've got YouTube? What's the USP with ClickView? Makes it that added value over just going to YouTube.
Look, it's a great question actually, and YouTube has some amazing stuff first and foremost, but there's a lot of it. And it can often take many, many hours to find the resources at the right age level, the right, if you will, pedagogical standard, the right quality in a very demanding generation of young people when it comes to video. So teachers can often spend as many hours planning a lesson than delivering a lesson. Where ClickView comes in is you can have an absolute confidence that you have a vetted collection, a central bank of high quality video, be that we produce or that, for example, BBC Teach and BBC Bite-sized content that sits inside of ClickView. The best of broadcast TV for education in a safe and secure environment that both the educator can rapidly find content, saving that valuable teacher time, but also they can have a confidence sharing with their students beyond the classroom, knowing it is not subject to advertisements or the other distractions that one might get on YouTube. So we're certainly not saying YouTube has no place. Please don't forsake that. Some fantastic content on there, but teachers tell us their challenge is finding that content and having a confidence they can use it time and time again to lock into their planning, not just for this year, but for next.
Great stuff, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Have there been any sort of advances, any new things happening with ClickView? Have you got any offers for the Bett show?
Well, the biggest thing that actually is quite new for ClickView, we've worked with actually a few thousand primary schools for many years, but we were really proud actually to soft launch in September our new primary school product. We had rewritten this product from the ground up based upon feedback and through research for what video can and should look like to enhance and supplement the primary classroom specifically. So it's been a real pleasure actually through the Bett Awards where ClickView was finalist in the primary content and resource awards category, and to be able to formally show the world, as to speak, as is the global stage, that is the Bett show, what ClickView is doing, not just in the secondary setting, the college setting, but how we're actually fundamentally changing what can happen in the primary school classroom. So it's been great to showcase that here today and through this great week at Bett.
Brilliant stuff. Well, listen, thank you for taking the time to come and chat with me, Michael. If you want to sort of learn more about ClickView, where website address and socials, where can we find you?
Yeah, look, so clickview.co.uk for our international colleagues, clickvieweducation.com. We've got offices in America, offices in Australia, as well as offices here in London. So wherever you are in the world, if you head to any of our websites, but clickview.co.uk, and of course, no matter where you are in the world, we can make sure our appropriate teams can talk to you.
Great. And social media, is that ClickView? At ClickView, is it on Twitter and the like?
At ClickView UK for our UK teams, but also at ClickView is the global one as well. So just head for ClickView on Twitter, on LinkedIn, Facebook, or of course on all the other socials too.
Great stuff. Thank you, Michael. And thank you for joining me for this little section on Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, welcome to another fantastic conversation here at Bett 2022 for Check It Out Show Live. I'm really delighted to welcome John from Teacher Folio to the show. John, Teacher Folio, what's that all about then?
Yeah, so I'm a former assistant head teacher. I'm a co-founder. She was deputy head at the same school. We had some real struggles with our teacher recruitment, particularly in terms of getting a true insight into our candidates, determining who's really a good fit for our school. And yeah, it led to Teacher Folio. I have to say we were actually here about 3 years ago as teachers looking around at the latest EdTech solutions, and we were on the verge of founding Teacher Folio, and then 3 years later here we are. So yeah, in terms of what is Teacher Folio, we are a recruitment platform. Just to state, we're not an agency, we're not an applicant tracking system, but we can really complement whatever you already have in place at your school as a school leader. And what we do is we make use of digital content to give a much better insight into your candidates with use of things like video content. So instead of just reading about what type of teacher candidates say they are, you can actually see them teach. Instead of reading about their broad teaching philosophy, you can ask them real specific questions. You can do anything that's going to give you an insight to tell you if they're a good fit for you. It might be examples of pupils' work to demonstrate progress that they've made, or you might want to set a task. You might want to give them a piece of work to actually mark to see how they give feedback to the pupils, whether that's verbal or written. So like I say, whatever it is that's going to give you the insight to see if they're a good fit for your school, we can help you to do that. So yeah, that's Teacher Folio in a nutshell, and it's all very much bespoke. So bespoke to the specific role, bespoke to your school.
Brilliant. So thank you, John. Now listen, one of the questions we always ask is, what helps your product sort of stand out from the competition? But as you've alluded to, there isn't very much out there. So what do you think are the sort of most popular elements? What does sort of school leaders come back to you and say to you are, it's been so helpful. It's been really, really helpful in the recruitment. What are those sort of key features you think?
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's that it's completely bespoke to your school. So you can ask for whatever content you like, and I think what really helps us to stand out is the digital content element, the videos. I don't think anything, to compare reading about someone's teaching philosophy to asking specific questions, compare reading about what type of teacher somebody is, I'm an enthusiastic teacher, or actually seeing them teach. I think that's what, from the feedback that we've had, that's what really helps us stand out. There's one piece of content actually that's really popular, and it's a 1-minute video clip of the teacher saying why they're a good fit for your school. And the feedback that we've had is that within that 1 minute, you tend to find out more about their personality and some of their soft skills than what you find out from maybe reading 2 sides of a cover letter. And there's a few ways that school leaders use us. Some of us choose to collect content from all of their applicants, while some decide to, create a long list based on the application form and cover letter, and then get that greater insight into maybe that long list of 5 to 10 candidates, just to make sure you've not got a little gem there just slipping through the net, and you make sure you get the teacher that's the best fit for you. Yeah.
And why would check out showing we're live, we're using video. Why wouldn't you want to use video for those sort of competitions? And technology gives an opportunity to do things. It wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the technology, isn't it, John? So brilliant stuff. I understand you've got an offer on at the moment.
Got an offer for you. I know you like an offer on the Check It Out show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's an exclusive offer for anyone that's listening now. I've not even checked this with my co-founder.
Oh, okay.
It'll be fine. I'm a man of my word. I'll stick to it. If anyone wants to get in touch with us, you can drop me an email, john@teacherfolio.com. Drop us an email and say you spotted us on the Check It Out show, and we will give you your very first recruitment round completely free for you to experience it for yourself. And then from there, if you'd like to take up a subscription, absolutely fine. If not, if it's not for you, that's okay as well. But we would love you to experience the benefits like some other school leaders have as well.
That's a really generous offer, John, and who doesn't like a lovely offer like that? And actually, in schools, it's difficult when it comes to sort of making those choices about technology. So that's a real sort of no-brainer from my point of view. If you're looking for some support with your recruitment in your school, teacherfolio.com, john@teacherfolio.com, and social media. Want to find out more about the company and read about you? So teacherfolio.com, obviously then.
Yeah,
and
Twitter handle @teacherfolio. You can find us on LinkedIn, on Facebook as well. Yeah, okay.
Great stuff, brilliant. Well, listen, thank you for taking some time to come and join me this morning, John, and thank you for joining me on the Check It Out show live from Bett 2022. Thanks. Hi there, welcome to another conversation here live from the Bett 2022 show floor for Check It Out Show Live. And I'm really delighted to have Tracy Good from iVengers here with me. Hiya Tracy, how's your Bett been?
Oh Mark, my Bett has been amazing. It's been tiring, it's been exciting, it's been exhilarating. Oh, I've had a blast.
Brilliant stuff. And it's been a real delight to see you engaging with schools and children, talking about the iVengers. Tracy runs a company called iVengers. For those who don't know, Tracy, what is iVengers all about?
So iVengers, it's a peer-led digital leaders program, and we're focusing on the positives of being online. For so long, we've given children all of the scary stuff and said, so don't do this, don't do that. iVengers is all about promoting the positives, understanding that our children are using this environment, so we've set them tasks that they have to complete over an academic year, and yeah, that's kind of the thrust of it. They get 6 tasks, they complete them, they get badges, they get certificates.
Do they get a cape?
They don't get a cape.
Can I have a cape?
Yeah, of course you can have a cape.
Yes. Look, if you know anything about me, I'm a huge advocate for student digital leadership, and online safety is such a huge important issue, not just for children, obviously, but for educators as well. And so it's been fantastic to see the developments of the program and the impact it's having and the conversations and the stories. But there are other sort of schemes where you can do similar things. What makes the iVengers sort of stand out from the crowd, Tracy?
So the thing that makes iVengers stand out from the crowd is firstly that it's positive. So this is about young people really engaging and young people teaching parents, young people teaching teachers. So it's about them taking the lead. And again, it's about that focus on the positives. It's about that positive engagement with technology, which I think is lacking generally across the board. It's not something we do too well, and we need to do it better.
No, absolutely. And I mean, iVengers, as you can probably tell, I'm very excited to get a big thumbs up from the Check It Out show. If you wanted to get involved, they're thinking, we could do with this in our school. How can we find out more, Tracy? How can we get involved?
Okay, so we're aimed at the moment at primary schools. So if primary schools are interested, you can catch me on Twitter. I am at Online Safety Hub, or you can drop onto the iVengers website. Unfortunately, not one that kind of slips off the tongue. So we are i-vengers.org.uk. Every school needs us, so let's talk.
Brilliant stuff. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking some time to have a little chat with me today on this very busy last day here at Bett. And thank you for joining us for this section recording on Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022. Thank you. So welcome to another conversation on the Check It Out Show live from Bett 2022, and I'm really delighted to have somebody with me now who we've known each other for what? Must be best part of a decade now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, one of the first people.
EOS events and all that way back when. This is Simon Blower from Pobble, but as I always share, I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. So could you share with our audience, Simon, who are you? What is Pobble? Where do you come from? What is it you do?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Simon, one of the Pobble co-founders, a primary school teacher and deputy head for 16 years. Pobble is a platform for making writing exciting for children, providing resources for teachers. As you'll know, writing is a really difficult skill, particularly for children in a primary school. So we try and provide steps or support along the way to try and make them the best writer they can possibly be.
There are other sort of tools that support literacy and writing, obviously. But what sort of makes Pobble stand out from the crowd? What sort of USP would you say, Simon?
Yes, I think primarily the fact that we just focus on writing really helps us. So again, there's lots of products that expand into reading maths. We've always stayed very tunnel vision. We think about that whole journey. So everything from Pobble 365, one of our most popular resources, something that children can write about every single day, all the way through to now the assessment piece at the end, so that schools can moderate writing as well. So again, always thinking about what does the teacher need, because again, we were teachers, but at the same time, what's going to make it really engaging for the children as well. So I think the fact that it's a range of different tools and resources, as well as supporting that whole writing journey, is really the USP of what we do.
Brilliant. No. And the moderation piece is a relatively new feature within Pobble. I know myself, moderation, trying to make sure you're sort of marking to the right standards is really quite a difficult thing to do. How does Pobble support that then?
Yeah, so because one of the features of our platform has always been uploading children's writing to turn children into published authors. So in a way, we had the writing in our system, but traditionally moderation was always jump in a car with a pile of books, travel to the school down the road, and the challenges of COVID basically meant that couldn't happen. So alongside North Yorkshire Education Services, we put in a bid for an Innovate UK grant. That allowed us to basically develop a tool where teachers could put together a collection of writing but send it electronically to another teacher. So one, it's saving the teacher really valuable travel time, but actually as a byproduct of that, what we found with the moderation tool is about 90% of teachers leave a comment on the writing. If you compare that to a group of teachers sitting around the table, in my particular school, it will be one or two people that would dominate. It was only my staff. So not only is it saving valuable time, it's making good use of technology in a space really that hasn't changed a lot for 16 years. It's also really impacting on the quality of the conversation. Again, teachers are very good at going off on a bit of a tangent when they open a book, tell me about the work, the topic, the school trip. Actually, here's a collection of writing. Let's focus on the writing that's there. So it's been a really interesting addition to what we do. We're now working with 18 local authorities who've identified the tool as being a great solution for them for writing moderation. So yeah, it probably wasn't what I thought we would get into with Pobble, but a really exciting and actually, in a way, quite a disruptive tool that we put in place to impact on something that, as I said, hasn't changed for a long time.
Look, we could talk for ages, Simon.
I know we could, yeah, sorry.
But if people are interested in finding out more about Pobble, where would they go to? What can they do?
Yeah, so if you search Pobble, www.pobble.com, individual teacher, you can sign up, have a free look around, try out Pobble 365. Do look out for our newsletters. We're currently running a Mighty Write competition. So again, something we're really passionate about is giving children the opportunity to write. Do give us a follow on social media as well, at Hey Pobble, at Simon Pobble.
Brilliant stuff, and a strong recommendation for myself as well. But thank you very much for taking the time to have a chat, Simon. And thank you for joining us on the Check It Out show live from Bett 2022. Thank you.
So hi, we are here for another episode of Check It Out Show Live. I would like to introduce you to Rachel Dunsmore, Arc Maths. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's always nice to be here.
And what we try and do on the show is obviously give a little bit of a highlight about what your product does, the benefits and so on. But I think given we're here, there's a little bit about also just what's inspiring you at the show, what's next. So let's start with introducing your solution.
So I've got a retrieval practice maths app for secondary school, so age 11 to 16 with space practice. And we really sit the first 10 minutes of your lesson quite often, rather than trying to do everything. We're very focused on a specific area, which is trying to get children to remember what you've taught them. So if you're teaching new things in class, we're just going back over all the stuff you've already taught them before, so you don't have to reteach it again to stop them forgetting.
Now, I think a little dicky bird might have told me, and if you don't hear this on the recording, it's because it's been cut out and I was wrong. But not only are you iOS, but also now Chromebook.
Oh, yes, and not just that, but we are phones too. So we're iPads only up till now, but about 3 days ago, we got out the Android, so for Chromebooks, and also we've adapted slightly the interface so that we can run it on phones. So in every child's pocket, it's there.
That to me is huge. We've been talking about digital inequity and about making sure that the tools we choose in our schools can also adapt and flex for home learning. And we've been doing remote learning for many years in many ways as homework. But to see that and hear that, that's great. That opens up a whole new avenue, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. And it's been a conversation I've had quite a lot today and yesterday, and people have quite strong views and different views on it. But I'm certainly in the future is the mobile phone camp, I think.
Yeah, I think we have to recognise there's a moving landscape, and equity always is about what's the most likely commonality we have for our learners, and we have to develop around that as that baseline.
Yes, you've got to be pragmatic. In an ideal world, it may be different, but you have to work with the cards you're dealt. Yeah.
Absolutely. So often we ask on the Check It Out show, So tell us what's different. Now, obviously,
Okay,
as
yes,
you've already alluded to, you've got that focal point of that 20 minutes, 10 minutes, that kind of area.
Yeah.
How would you best summarise it for those listening in who say, I've already got a solution that helps with
Well, we
numeracy?
quite often get, we've got Hegarty. That's quite often. And I say, well, you've got a ruler and protractor. They do two different tasks. So we're not a full learning platform. We don't have teaching content on there. We're not covering what you're doing now in class. We are looking at what you've done before and sort of sweeping up behind, trying to keep everything fresh, secure, so that when you come to do the new teaching, all those skills are in place that you need to teach. For example, area of a circle, they do know the difference between diameter and radius and all those things you've already covered, but that it's still there so that they can really assimilate all the new learning and make progress, frankly, rather than having to reteach everything again.
And for me, listening to you explaining that, I've just learned that there's something different between a diameter and a radius. So well done.
And how to find the difference between the two. Yeah.
So, moving on, what are the things that have been inspiring you at Bett? Is there anything else you've seen that you've really kind of embraced? Any different areas of technology where it's
Do you know, I'm almost embarrassed you've asked that because we have been so busy on the stand that I know it's good, but obviously, and one of the big, it's lovely to be here. It's the first time I've made it into the South Hall. So that's been the conversations I've had on the stand, and seeing who's coming has been really a real eye-opener. So that's been good, and having those conversations about what people are after. Met a really interesting, so we met the Indian delegation, and then the next people on the stand ran a Facebook page for home educators. It's such a mix of the people that you're getting coming through, and we're in Bett Futures, so we're hanging with the cool kids. It's where it's all kind of quite fun.
I really like the Bett Futures. I really encourage you to go because we always think about, the established vendors and yourselves. I class as established now, but actually, we want to see the new technologies, the evolution, the technology, because that often is what we see is that the future kind of flow into the sector.
Yeah.
So definitely, always good to check out Bett Futures. So, last question from me. Anybody listening to this will, of course, be entirely hooked and committed to wanting to get their hands on your technology. Where will they find out more?
Well, our website, which is www.arceducation.co.uk, and that's ARC with a C. But it's also on the App Store or on the Play Store. So just search for ARC VAS, ARC, and it's there. And you can try it out 1 week free trial. But if you're a school, just get in touch with us directly. So.
And from me, check it out. There you go. Thanks for listening.
So what a fantastic show. So many brilliant companies sharing. And as you'll have heard from the top of the show from Al, what a fantastic recognition of the brilliance of the sector. It's been such a long time, and it's great to come to an event like Bett and to learn about all the latest products and the updates and all the rest of it. But there's been a real strong sense of community across the whole event. It's been really lovely to get a chance to not only meet Fred Tech, Al's secret EdTech diary companion just here, but to also have that chance to reconnect with old friends, old colleagues, and new friends too.
Actually, as you know, it's been an amazing show. Hopefully you've enjoyed all the different vendors and products we've shared with you tonight. Keep sharing, keep spreading the love, and thanks for joining the Check It Out show.
If you're interested in joining us on next month's show, don't forget to go to netsupportsoftware.com/showcase where you can sign up and get involved too.
See you there.
Take care.